Welcome back. We are still in Chapter 4, Proportional Relationships, discussing Lesson 6, Scale Drawings and Scale Models. So with problems 1, 2, 3, and 4, we are to identify the scale factor. So remember, whenever we're identifying the scale factor, we're going to have the smaller thing on top, the bigger thing on the bottom, and then we need to make sure that we have a 1 in the top of the numerator of that fraction. So let's go ahead and do number 1 together. So we have a person that's 72 inches. We have an action figure that's 6 inches. So an action figure, that is a smaller thing, so that's going to go on top. So it's going to be the action figure over the person. So the action figure is 6 over 72. Now, the scale factor has to have a 1 in the top of the fraction, which is called the numerator. So the only way we can make this a 1 is if we divide it by 6, because 6 divided by 6 is 1. Whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 72 divided by 6, I got to do that over here. So 6 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. We subtract. 7 take away 6 is 1. We drop down the 2. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. No remainder. Boom. We have it. So 72 divided by 6 is 12. That means the scale factor is 1 inch for every 12 inches. There it is right there. So I want you to go ahead and try 2, 3, and 4 on your own. So where's our friend the pause dragon? Remind you to pause. When you get done, press play, and we will go over the answers. All right, see you in a bit. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and talk about problem number 2. We have a dog that's 24 inches and a stuffed animal that's 8 inches. Okay, the smaller thing is a stuffed animal, so that's going to go on top. So we have stuffed animal over dog. The stuffed animal is 8 inches over the dog is 24 inches. We need this number on top to be a 1. So that means we have to divide it by 8 to the top and the bottom. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So that means the stuffed animal, for every inch that the stuffed animal is, that means that the dog is 3 inches. And that is our scale factor. So if you got that right, great job. Let's go ahead and move on to problem number 3. Okay, we have a fish that is 16 inches and we have a fishing lure that's 2 inches. So the smaller thing is the fishing lure, so that's going to go on top. We're trying to figure out what the scale factor is. So fishing lure over fish. So that's going to equal, the fishing lure is 2 inches over 16 inches. The fish is 6. We need a 1 on top. So to get a 1, that means we have to divide the top by 2 and also the bottom by 2. You got to do it by the same number. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that means for every inch that the fishing lure is, that means that the fish is 8 inches. So that would be our scale factor. So if you got that right, wonderful. Okay, on to this next problem, problem number 4. We have a house and we have a dollhouse. I think it's obvious that the dollhouse is smaller. It goes on top over the house. We're going to figure out what the scale factor is. The dollhouse is 3 feet. The house is 30 feet. We need it to be a 1 in the numerator. To get a 1, that means we're going to have to divide this by 3. Whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 30 divided by 3 is 10. That means for every foot that the dollhouse is, the actual house is 10 feet. And that is the scale factor. Perfect. Okay, if you got that one right, great job. Okay, let's move on to 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to go ahead and do 5 together. This is just in a little bit of a different format, and so it's in a table, so let's just go ahead and see how that works. So we have the length, we have a guitar that's 36 inches, and we have a ukulele that's 18 inches. We're going to do the same thing. Which is smaller, an ukulele or a guitar? We're still determining the scale factor. An ukulele is smaller, so that's going to go on top. So we have an ukulele over a guitar. The ukulele is 18, so that's going to be 18 on top, divided by 36. And we need this 18 to become a 1. So the only way we can do that is to divide 18 by 18. Whatever you do to the top, you have to do it to the bottom. 18 divided by 18 is 1. 36 divided by 18 is actually 2. So that means for every inch that the ukulele is, the guitar is 2 inches. So that is the scale factor. Perfect. Now I want you to go ahead and try 6, 7, and 8 on your own. So where's my friend the pause dragon? Oh, here's the pause dragon, reminding you that you need to pause your device. When you get done with 6, 7, 8, go ahead and press play, and we will check your scale factors and see how you did. All right, see you in a bit. Boop. See you in a bit. All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and see how you did on problem number 6. So we have the length in feet of a car and a toy car. The smaller of the two is the toy car, so the toy car is going to go on top. The car is going to go on the bottom. The toy car is 3 feet over the car is 12 feet. So for the scale factor, we need the top to be a 1. So I'm going to divide this by 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. Whatever I do to the top, I need to do to the bottom. 3 divided by 3 is 1 over 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that means for every foot that the toy car is, the actual car is 4 feet. That's the scale factor. So if you got that one right, great job. Let's move on to 7. Okay, we have length in inches of a flute and a piccolo. Piccolo. Yeah, piccolo. Piccolo, it's a very small flute. So that's going to be the smaller thing. It goes on top. The piccolo, I guess, I don't know. And the flute's going to go on the bottom. Okay, the piccolo is 10 and the flute is 30. We need this 10 to be a 1, so that means we have to divide it by itself. 10 divided by 10 is going to be 1. Whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 30 divided by 10 is 3. So for every 1 inch that the piccolo is, the flute is 3 inches. That is our scale factor. If you got that right, perfect. On to problem number 8. We have the height in inches of a poodle and a toy poodle. Okay, cool. So the smaller thing is the toy poodle. That's going to go on top. And the bigger thing is the poodle. Okay, we're determining the scale factor. The toy poodle is 8 inches over the actual poodle is 56 inches. So we want to figure out the scale factor. To do that, we need a 1 in the numerator, the top of part of the fraction. To make an 8 into a 1, we need to divide it by 8. Whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. 56 divided by 8 is actually 7. So that means for every 1 inch that the toy poodle is, an actual poodle is 7 inches. So there's the scale factor right there. Awesome. If you got that one right, yokinekimashita. Okay, on to the back page. We have problems 9 and 10. And you need to identify the scale factor. So let's go ahead and do 9 together. It says, on a road map of New York, the distance from New York City to Albany is 3 inches. The map scale is 1 inch. 1 inch is equal to 50 miles. What is the actual distance between the cities? So here we have the map scale and the actual distance. So let's go ahead and write that down. So the map scale over the actual distance. And it gives us a scale factor. So the scale factor of the map scale is 1 inch to 50 miles, okay? And then it tells us that on a road map, so we're talking about the map of New York, the distance from New York to Albany, New York City to Albany is 3 inches. So that 3 inches goes on the top with the map scale information. What is the actual distance? We don't know the actual distance, so that's gonna be X. So that's how we set up that proportion, okay? So we're trying to figure out what X is. Now you should see that we can't figure out what X is because right now it's on the bottom. So we're gonna have to invert this proportion. Okay, so everything on the bottom is gonna have to go to the top and everything from the top is gonna have to go to the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So it's gonna be 50 equals X over 1. The 1's going to go down to the bottom, and the 3 is going to go down to the bottom. Perfect. The x is on top. Now we can figure out what it is. Awesome. So we have x divided by 3. We need to do the inverse operation of division, which would be multiplication. So we have to multiply both sides by 3. Those 3's cancel out. They become 1. 1 times x is x. We have x by itself. Woohoo! So we just need to do this. 3 times 50, this is 3 over 1. 3 times 50, I'm going to go over here. 50 times 3. 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 5 is 15. So it's 150 over 1 times 1, which is 1. So x equals 150, and it's the actual distance, which is in miles. So boom. There you go. Okay, now it is your turn to do number 10. Okay, I want my friend the Pause Dragon to remind you to pause your device. Go ahead and work out number 10. When you have an answer, come back and press play, and we will see if you're right. Okay, we're back. Number 10 says, on a scale drawing, a bookshelf is 8 inches tall. The scale factor is 1 to 8. What is the height of the bookshelf? So what we have in this problem is we have a scale drawing of a bookshelf to an actual height of the bookshelf. Okay? And what it says, the scale factor is 1 over 8. So that means for every 1 inch of the scale drawing, the actual height is 8 inches. So let's go ahead and look and see what other information it says. On the scale drawing, a bookshelf is 8 inches tall. So this 8 inches is referring to the scale drawing. The scale drawing is on the top part of this fraction. So the scale drawing information is going to go here. It wants to know what is the height. That's the actual height of the bookshelf, and the actual height information goes on the bottom. So that's what we don't know. That's where our x goes. Okay, so that's our proportion right here. We need to go ahead and figure out what x is. Right now, you should immediately see that x is on the bottom, so we're going to have to invert this proportion. So whatever's on the bottom is going to go to the top. And whatever's on the top is going to go to the bottom. So that 1's going to go to the bottom, that 8's going to go to the bottom. Perfect. So now we just need to figure out what x equals. So we need to get x by itself. Is x by itself? No. Right now it's being divided by 8. So we have to do the inverse operation of division, which would be multiplication of both sides. These 8's, they cancel out. They become 1. 1 times x is x. So we have x by itself. Woohoo! And then we just have to, can't cross cancel, so we have to multiply across. 8 times 8 is 64. 1 times 1 is just 1. So that means that x equals 64 inches. That's what the actual height of the bookshelf is 64 inches. If you got that right, yoku de kimashita. You did a great job, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.